There were quite a few contenders for the unofficial 7th friend position on Friends. First, there was Janice, who had that delightfully irritating phrase that popped throughout the whole series.
Janice?
Oh my God!
And Mike Hannigan actually married into the crew late in the show.
This is my husband, crap bag.
But James Michael Tyler's bright-haired barista Gunther was definitely the closest thing to a full-fledged member of the Central Perk crew. Sure, we didn't get to learn much about him.
What's my last name?
Central Perk?
Thanks to his unrequited obsession with Rachel, though, Tyler was the most consistent guest star of the series and held his coffee-shilling role for all 10 seasons. So what's happened to the man who played Gunther since the Friends vacated the coffee house? Let's take a look at what James Michael Tyler has been up to and why we might not hear of him very much these days. The one with the accidental casting. While most of the Friends cast members' careers were still relatively new by the time they signed on to the show, they each still had a pretty legitimate history in the biz before they got their roles. However, Tyler was merely an extra trying to get a free meal when he accidentally nabbed his part as the coffeehouse guy who happened to become something more. Tyler originally got the gig because he was the only one of the extras who actually knew how to work the complicated cafe machinery that was provided as a prop. He later joked, "I honestly always thought my master's in fine arts would get me further in the acting world than knowing how to work an espresso machine. That was a happy accident, and I'm very, very grateful to have had that skill." His character didn't speak for the entire first season, but once the showrunners learned of his training, they started to incorporate his character more and more. After that, he became a series mainstay with brief but hilariously memorable moments scattered throughout.
Oh, Dark Mother, once again I suckle at your smoky teat.
No, why don't you hold on to that one?
The one with the career slowdown. Most of the Friends have gone on to do other things since turning in their keys to Apartment 20, but Tyler has had a hard time finding work outside of Central Perk. Among his few credits, he's had cameo roles in shows like Scrubs, but overall, he's had little luck turning his Gunther gusto into something long-term. Perhaps the multitude of residuals from Friends has made it so that Tyler simply doesn't have to work to get by, but he's still been trying to land new gigs nonetheless, including writing his own screenplay and hosting a series of digital author interviews. Even those acting roles he has gotten since Friends have mostly been connected to his status as Gunther. In 2006, he was part of a failed TV pilot called Nobody's Watching, in which two TV megafans try to start their own sitcom with Warner Brothers, where he made a cameo as himself.
I can imagine this is what hell's like.
He also played himself in Matt LeBlanc's hit Showtime series Episodes, in which he boasted about remaining friendly with his former co-stars.
Still see Schwimmer and Courtney and I text all the time.
Thanks.
Really? Jen too?
Yeah, I house sit for her when she's in New York.
While he was playing his real-life self in that scene, that quote was certainly a work of fiction. He admitted to MovieWeb, "I live in Los Angeles, so I will see them in passing a lot of times. It's either that or passing them in traffic. It's just because people have different lives and have gone in different directions now." The one with all the nostalgia. Another bit of happenstance that worked in Tyler's favor when it came to Friends was the fact that while he was not naturally blonde, one of his friends decided to play guinea pig on his hair just before the show's taping and turned his locks white. No word on whether his pal ever made it as a stylist, but for Tyler, the producers ended up loving the look, so he spent the next decade dyeing his hair to keep it consistent.
I wanted to be the Gunther. You know, they had the Rachel. I always wondered why the Gunther never caught on.
With the exception of the 20th anniversary celebration in which he helped open a Friends pop-up coffee shop in London to celebrate the show, Tyler hasn't kept the bleached look going since the hit series came to a close. Even still, Tyler has been the go-to when it comes to Warner Brothers' throwback publicity tours, and he's been happy to wax nostalgic on social media from time to time as well. One star of his Twitter account? A cat named Cubby, who he first found under the iconic orange couch. He's kept the cat as his own pet ever since. It may not be the same show-quality Sphinx cat he adopted from Rachel,
So what is this, some kind of snake or something?
but it's a clear metaphor for the fact that Tyler definitely took his role as Gunther home with him after Friends was finished. Thanks for watching. Click the Nicki Swift icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.